Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another episode of Overbooked, the series where I talk about every single book on my shelves because I am sure. Today we are talking about Seanan McGuire's Wayward children's series. So I own two of these. I own Every Heart a Doorway and Come Tumbling Down. I had to check which one that was then. But some of these I have been sent for review. I think 2 or 3 of them I've had review copies of digitally. Regardless of where books come from, nobody's paying me to talk about books and all opinions are my own. This is going to be broadly spoiler-free. These novellas, they're hard to spoil in a way that would actually ruin the book for you, but proceed with caution. We're going to be talking about the full series. And lastly, this is a series that deals with a lot of very complex themes, including some that I think require some content warnings. So I will link the story graph for at least the first book below, so you can check that out and have a gander at what you're in the mood for. Or indeed, not in the mood for. That would probably make more sense in this context. This is a series of fantasy novellas. The first one, Every Heart a Doorway, came out in 2016, and we've got 7 books in the series so far. Oh no, I should have looked this up before I did this. Yes, 7 books. I'm a sensible human being who can remember things. In theory, you can read them in any order. I will come on to what I think the best reading order is in a moment. It will not surprise you. In theory, there are lots of different plot threads you can follow in various different ways throughout the series, and there are a few books that you could pick up on their own without any further context. However, broadly speaking, we are dealing with a world, a universe in which there are doors, and sometimes people go through those doors into other worlds, and sometimes people come back from those other worlds, and they are a little bit traumatized, wanting to go back to that world, wanting to stay as far away from that world as possible. All various emotions, and those children, typically it is children, some of those children end up at Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, who is an adult who once went through a door and now runs this school to help out children. So the first book really encapsulates that, which is why I think you should start with it. But essentially we have all these different children who are wayward. It's a series title that makes sense. I'll very briefly touch on who Seanan McGuire is because I think you probably know. She's written heaps and heaps of stuff, most of it under various different pen names, so I would recommend looking her up and just seeing, oh, all of these books have been written by this person, and quite often, as I find, oh, I've read a lot of this person's books before, and I had no idea. Probably most people I know her through Moira Grant, who is a horror writer, but is also Seanan McGuire. There are other names around. The other thing I didn't know until I did the reread for this series that I did this year via audiobook is that she also narrates the audiobooks for her own series. So if you've ever wanted to know what that's like, this. I vaguely mentioned the broad plot. I will now endeavour to summarise each book without spoiling it in as few words as possible. I'm going to talk about them in publishing order. Every Heart a Doorway, Murder Mystery, School, Oh Sad, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, Backstory, Gender Roles, Spooky Good, Beneath the Sugar Sky, I would say Quest, Nonsense, Dead Shouldn't Be, In an Absent Dream, Goblin Market, Oh So Sad, oh so sad, Goblin Market, Things Are Unjust, that's another one that I would work for, Come Tumbling Down, Spooky Stuff Back Again, Across the Grass Green Fields, Horse Girl, There Are Centaurs! And lastly, Where the Drowned Girls Go. Plus size, one word, representation, mermaid, bad school. You're welcome. I've definitely helped you. One of my biggest pros for this series is it is incredibly inclusive. Seanan McGuire includes a lot of different identities, a lot of different races, a lot of different genders, all of the above. It's all in here. I don't think every time it's a perfect representation, and I think Seanan McGuire would probably agree that like this is a learning experience and she's doing her research and everything, but it is like an attempt to write a really diverse world, which I definitely appreciate. And I've often said with this, if you find that you don't relate to characters in one book, you may find that later down the line there are characters you really relate to. I personally find that Cora, my plus side mermaid queen, is my favourite. I love her with all of my being, but I think everyone who reads this will have a different character that they, both a character that they like and maybe a different character that they feel an affinity with. I really like that there's that kind of character in this kind of fantasy setting, and it really works in with the themes of the world and this kind of need for escape versus need for a world where you finally fit in, that kind of stuff. It makes sense. And alongside that, we have all these varied settings. So again, if you don't love a spooky, mad scientist, werewolf, vampire kind of setting, then 3 books on, we're in we've had one book on, we're in a nonsense world where everything's made of sugar. Like, there are so many different ideas going on in these, and the through line of it being tied to these children and that being a similar lived experience no matter how different things are, I found really powerful. I think it really works. There are a lot of points in this series where the books do feel either very connected or very separate from each other, but because all of the themes are the same, you definitely still feel that carry through, and it all still feels part of the whole. I think these characters are really lovable in all senses. Even the characters who are potentially not the most likeable characters in the story, Seanan McGuire does a lot of work explaining why they're like that. Nobody in this is really just a villain for being a villain's sake, which I appreciate. I think that novellas are the perfect place to do that, because you can touch on elements of a character's backstory or touch on just something that happened that made them do these things, and you don't need to delve down it or explore it. It's just said to the reader. You kind of internalize it, get it, move on. You know what's going on here, and I like that the books don't talk down to you in that way, and it just creates this like cast of really, really enjoyable, likable characters who, when they crop up in later books or when they're mentioned because they've since left the series or they're doing something else for a while, you just get oh, I hope they're doing well. I love that person. I hope they're having a nice time. I mentioned the audiobooks. This is just an aside. I think that the audiobooks for this series are really good. I personally listened to them on Scribd. As ever, Scribd aren't paying me. I wish they were, but I'll leave a link below. That is an affiliate link that'll have all the explanation if you would like to try out Scribd, if you want to listen to these audiobooks for not a fortune of money. But I did think that they worked really well as audiobooks. They have fun little music. That's one of my favourite things about audiobooks, by the way, is that little 30 seconds of music they put right at the beginning, which if you're me and you're listening on 3.5 times speed, sounds really weird. But yes, I definitely think the audiobook was the way to go for reading the series as a whole. I really like reading them individually in paper form, but for this long sweeping reread, it was nice to have one narrator carrying you through, and interesting that it was Seanan McGuire. So while they are in theory standalone books, there was a sense very early on that you could start anywhere in this series and you'd be fine. That's not necessarily the case now, 7 books in. I would say, and I'm looking at my laptop so I can remember the names of all of them, Every Heart a Doorway, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, Beneath the Sugar Sky, and Come Tumbling Down, those 4, 1, 2, 3, and 5, you kind of need to read all in one go. And then subsequently now, I would say you also need to read 7. So In an Absent Dream, book 4, and Across the Grass Green Fields, book 6, are the ones that I think you could lift out quite happily and sit them and just read them whenever you wanted to. Characters from those do feature in other books, but those ones really sit the most on their own of all of them. Actually, my recommendation is to read these in publication order, and if you don't want to do that, then just lift those 2 out and read the other 5. That's just because there is plot that flows from one to the other in a chronological way that the other 2 books don't have.
Editing Judith here. I realised that actually Down Among the Sticks and Bones doesn't really fit into that. It's just backstory for book 1. So you could read backstory for book 1, then book 1. But it would be weird to do so. Just thought I'd let you know.
So I think pitching this as, you can start wherever you want. It's a fun standalone thing. You can, but things will make more sense if you read it in publication order. If you're not a novella person, I don't know how much you'd enjoy these. I'd be really interested, if you're someone who typically does not enjoy novellas and you have read these, what your thoughts were. Because I think that they encompass that kind of just telling a very small segment of a story, just following one line through. I actually think they read very completely, but I think you're already off to a loss if this isn't the kind of storytelling you enjoy. These were actually some of the first novellas that I really found myself gravitating towards. I think Justine lent them to me, and subsequently I've read every single one, and I think that they just managed to be just the right amount of explanation for things that I really like, and the fact that there are 7 of them, so if there is world building or magic system, I guess, portals magic system, maybe, building that needs to be done, it can be done across 7 books. At this point, there's a full novel there. The last thing I'll say is that novellas are stupidly expensive. I've said this in almost all of my novella reviews. This copy of Come Tumbling Down retailed for $20. That's too much money. That's too many. That's $26.99 Canadian. I'm not in Canada, but I feel for them. So I'm hoping, against hope, I don't know if they're planning to do it, but one day, maybe Tor will do a nice tidy bind-up and I can just own them all that way. Because I don't have the kind of money to be shelling out on hardback novellas once a year, twice a year in some instances. No, I don't have that. So I've been reading them all digitally and having a lovely time. I just thought I'd flag that up as if you wanted to get into this series and you're a book collector, you might find yourself losing lots of money. Some comparisons, some other things. There's a lot of portal fantasy out there. The ones that really spoke to me for this are The Light Between Worlds by Laura Weymouth. This is it's legally distinct from children coming back from Narnia, but they do come back from Narnia, and the kind of mental health implications of that and moving on with your life and all of that stuff. I really love this book. It makes me cry every single time. I describe it as a really good depiction of both what it is like to have depression or some sort of similar mental health thing going on, and also to love somebody who is going through that and the difficulty of that. It really spoke to me. That's a lovely YA. What else is on this list? 10,000 Doors of January, I have a review up for. This is another portal fantasy that really explores kind of the way a world works where that happens and some of the science behind it. There's some interesting stuff in that. And lastly, V.E. Schwab writes some good portal fantasy. I've thrown that in there. I think V.E. Schwab writes a lot of books about people who find doors, which is very similar to this. So Shades of Magic series is one, and also her newest book, Gallant, I think has an element of that to it as well, that world beyond worlds kind of feeling. My final thoughts. Do I recommend that you read this? Yes, I do. I love these. If you just read Every Heart a Doorway, I think you will get a sense of the series enough. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It has some of my favourite characters. I love this series. I really do. It's one of those things where I can happily reread them anytime I'm feeling like I just want something. I'll just pick up Every Heart a Doorway, give it a thumb through. It's a great time. So yes, I would absolutely recommend. However, if you have different feelings, if you didn't like these, if you have a different favourite to me, I think my favourite is probably either Where the Drowned Girls Go or Beneath the Sugar Sky. One or the other. I love them both. Let me know what your thoughts down in the comments below. As ever, I would love to read them. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. We have exciting content coming for you in the coming weeks, so you should subscribe so you can see that. And also, it makes me feel loved and appreciated, though nothing makes me feel more loved and appreciated than my patrons over on Patreon, who support the channel and videos like this and get videos like this a little bit early, so thank you, smooches to you. What else? Social media. If you want to follow it, you can follow it. Discord. If you want to come chat on it, you can come chat on it. That's everything. I think that's all from me, and I will see you in the next one.
There's gonna be some bloopers now.
Some quick disclaimers before we start. I should say what we're talking about first, shouldn't I? That would help. Even the ones where you're like, oh, I don't like you a lot. Shannon McGuire does a lot of... Shannon McGuire?